Yes.
All right. So today, Fiona and I are reviewing and talking about The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. And we are going to start off with a spoiler-free synopsis, and then we are going to move into spoiler discussion. So Fiona's going to start with the synopsis.
Okay, synopsis is, even if Blue hadn't been told her true love would die if she kissed him, she would stay away from boys, especially the ones from the local private school. Known as Raven Boys, they only mean trouble. But this is the year that everything will change for Blue. This is the year that she will be drawn into the strange and sinister world of the Raven Boys, and the year Blue will discover that magic does exist. This is the year she will fall in love. Ta-da! So there we go. That is what the book is about.
I have a different synopsis.
There.
Yep.
Right, read your synopsis then. Let's see what your one says.
We might actually get a pretty rounded out good thing. Okay, mine says, it starts with a quote that says, there are only two reasons a non-seer would see a spirit on St. Mark's Eve. Either you're his true love or you killed him. Every year, Blue Sergeant stands next to her clairvoyant mother as the soon-to-be-dead walk past. Blue never sees them until this year when a boy emerges from the dark and speaks to her. His name is Gansey, and he's a rich student at Aglenby, the local private school. Blue has a policy of staying away from Aglenby boys. Known as Raven Boys, they can only mean trouble. But Blue is drawn to Gansey in a way she can't entirely explain. He is on a quest that has encompassed 3 other Raven Boys: Adam, the scholarship student who resents the privilege around him; Ronan, the fierce soul whose emotions range from anger to despair; and Noah, the taciturn watcher who notices many things but says very little. For as long as she can remember, Blue has been warned that she will cause her true love to die. She doesn't believe in true love and never thought this would be a problem. But as her life becomes caught up in the strange and sinister world of the Raven Boys, she's not so sure anymore.
That's interesting. What's your cover like, by the way? Because that's my cover.
But mine's hardcover.
Yeah, and mine's paperback, but the covers are the same.
Yeah, except yours has...
I've got curly bits.
Mine has the ley lines, and yours has like a something there.
Yeah, you're right. I wonder. Oh, I think I may have worked out what that is.
Hold it up and say something so it makes you bigger.
Can you see it?
No.
It's those bits. Think about what they. How can I put this without spoiling it at the moment? Think about what they find from the air in the helicopter. What do they see?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what that might be. I've only just realised that, but it's just strange how the hardcover and the paperback cover have different synopses.
And like when you put them both together, you really get a picture of the book, but separate, they're not really like that telling.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna hope that stands up there. Okay. All right. So should we move into our spoiler thoughts and ratings and things?
Mm-hmm. So what did you rate it?
You had to ask me. I think I gave it 4.5. I'll double check. What did you give it?
4.5.
Let's see. My books. Yes, I gave it 4.5.
I think on Goodreads it was 4, but it was kind of really 4.5. So
and you know I go up, so I gave it 5. Yeah. But it was really so we can each other out.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I think part of the problem for me, there was nothing wrong with the story. The story was great, and it like really drew you in. But because I've been kind of so busy at uni, I wasn't getting the time to or making the time to actually sit and read it in consecutive days. I also have the slight problem with a TV show that I will tell you about later on that I've become addicted to. Not good. So that was kind of taking me away from the book, which I think was a shame. I think this is one of these books that you need to be able to sit and read consecutively and just keep going with it, just to really, really get the impact. But no, I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was kind of having the same thing. Like, I have free time, but it's like the free time you have, like you're so overwhelmed and like exhausted from everything you've done all day that it's like to pick up a book is almost like too much mind
Yeah.
work. So I wasn't picking it up either, which is why I was like, I haven't been listening to audiobooks, and I was last year, but I haven't been this year. And so I was like, I'll just see if it's on audiobook. So I started listening to it, planning on like, I'll just listen to it, and then when I go home, I'll read it, but I'll listen to it on my commute to kind of help me get through it. But I ended up just never picking it up when I was home and just listening to the whole thing on audiobook. And at the beginning, I wasn't really a fan of the narrator because it's a man and he does like, like the women's voices and things like that. And his accent, like, I know it took place, where does it take place? I don't know, but they all have like Southern accents when he reads it.
Henrietta, isn't that those
Yeah.
Southern?
And so like he was doing all these Southern accents and like I didn't really like it at first, but then once the plot kind of started moving, I kind of got used to him reading it. But my library doesn't have any of the other ones, or the next one at least, on audiobook. So now I'm like reading that one, and I've only read like 5 pages because I don't have time to like sit and actually read. But it was nice. I think that it seems like it wasn't slow paced.
No.
But it was a lot of like long scenes. So I think that I actually got more out of it listening to the audiobook.
I think also the fact that it was a lot of descriptive work, because he was describing what they were seeing, what they were doing, which I found really, really interesting, especially in the psychic bits of it, where he was describing what her mum and Blue's mum and her aunts were sort of seeing and what they were doing. I find that really, really interesting. So I think there's a lot of descriptive work in it, which helped you to see where they were, type thing.
Yeah, and I was always really hesitant about picking up the series because I hear like it's like hard to get into, or it's like really slow and things like that. But the premise I always thought was really interesting. And I didn't feel like with this book that I really had that trouble. I felt like it was pretty easy to get into because it kind of started off with action, like with the whole night at the cemetery thing. Like that was kind of like, I thought, a good way to suck everybody in. So I don't know if other books in the series are like that, and that's why people say that about the series, but I thought this one was well paced.
Oh yeah, me too. So it will be interesting to see what the next lot are like.
Yeah. A couple people have commented to me that like the third book, Blue Lily Lily Blue, is the one that's kind of hard to get through. So.
Okay, no worries. So favorite character, if you had one?
Can you answer that first?
For me, it's a toss-up between Adam and Noah.
Okay.
I like Adam because he's not being sucked into the whole school privilege type life.
Yeah.
And I like Noah just because he's quiet, but what he does say when he says it has got impact and meaning. So I think probably those two. And just for sort of sheer, shall we say, airheadedness, Persephone. I mean, she is, I think she's brilliant. You just see her going, yeah, and woo,
Yeah.
So.
I think that, so in this book, I liked Adam purely for the twist when he starts standing up for himself.
Yeah.
And I really liked Calla.
Yeah, she's feisty.
Blunt she was. Like when she looked at Adam, when she looked at Ronan and she was like, your father's dead because of a secret and you know what it is. Like, screw you, because he was being a jerk. I think as the series moves on, I actually feel like, because the next book is about Ronan, and I kind of feel like, although I wasn't a huge fan of him in this book, I think that by the end of the series, he's probably going to be one of my favorite characters, because I think there's so much to him that we're going to find out, like, especially at the very end when he was like, just so you know, I did this. Like, I think that he might become one of my favorite characters, even though he's
Okay. I'm hoping that Adam will stay kind of true to himself. I think he could well be one of my favorites.
I think
Yeah,
that Noah could be one of the most interesting to read
yeah,
about.
yeah, exactly. Gansey, I'm not sure about him, if I'm honest.
I feel he's kind of hard to understand because I feel bad because I think that he's a genuine person,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that he also like has a hard time understanding things from other people's point of view.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing with Adam when Adam was like, I belong to, and he
Yeah.
felt like so bad about it, but didn't understand why he felt that way.
Yeah.
But then like he also, when he was saying how like he lived because Noah died,
Mm-hmm.
and like he also knew that was wrong. So I feel like he has a strong sense of like, I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that he's not great right now. He's kind of just like there.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously he'll be more prevalent because obviously something's going to happen with him in Blue.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that maybe he'll be more fleshed out. But I felt like for this one, like he was kind of, I can't figure out who was this book supposed to be about because I feel like each book focuses on someone.
It's really hard to tell. I presume that the last book is called The Raven Kings. I'm presuming it's going to focus on Gansey.
Right, but then I couldn't figure out like was
This one, I think, is a mixture of Noah and Blue. Blue sort of beginning to understand the magic that's going on around her, and understanding her own power. Although she isn't a seer, she has the power to help other people see. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So she's beginning to coming in, understand her own powers and what it does. And then you've got obviously the part of Noah who, as the ghost, but wanting his story told and what happened to him. So I think she maybe split the book.
And maybe since it was like the first book in the series, it was like a basic introduction and like kind of like a focus on everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe it just seems like the second book is focusing on Ronan because I've only read the prologue, but it was like from like it was like about Ronan.
Okay.
And the first book ended with Ronan being like, just so you know, I can do this.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's gonna focus because and it's also called The Dream Thieves.
Yeah.
So like it's gotta be about Ronan. So I didn't
something to do about his dreams.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that
Yeah.
the other books will probably focus on someone too.
Well,
But I have there were a lot of twists in this.
weren't there
What's like the most surprising thing that you weren't expecting?
How treacherous Neve was. That kind of shook me. I thought I was wary of her to begin with, but the more you got to know her, you thought there's something about you I wouldn't trust. So that I think was my biggest twist. You kind of knew that Gansey there was going to have to be a showdown at some point between Barrington Welk, and I'd expected to be Gansey. I'd expected that to be the showdown. I kind of didn't expect Neve to be in the middle of all of that. You know, that did catch me by surprise.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird because at the beginning, like I felt like they really, gave the information that Neve was like a family friend and was like an aunt to Blue. And then at the end, when all that stuff was happening, Blue's mom was like, yeah, I don't actually know her that well. And I felt like we were kind of like falsely informed so that we didn't expect the twist, which kind of annoyed me.
Yeah. I also found it really interesting that Blue's mum and Carla and Persephone turned the mirrors in the way. So they all looked at, so they kind of disappeared, Neve, but it's like, where's she gone?
And obviously, like that, she's probably wherever Blue's dad is. And like, that's something that I didn't expect.
No.
was Blue's dad being connected to Cabeswater.
Yeah. That did strike me as rather strange. And part of me is this is going to sound really strange, but has it got something to do with the king that Gansi's looking for?
I know. Imagine if, like, I don't know.
My big twist would be that very end that the king actually ends up being Blue's father.
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't that be crazy?
But I wouldn't put it past her, having kind of read that.
Yeah, no, I know.
You know.
Yeah, I think the biggest twist was I just really wasn't expecting Adam to press charges.
No, I wasn't either. I was hoping he would, because I liked the fact that he suddenly realised, well, it's up to me. I'm
Yeah,
the only one that can solve this problem. And to have the guts to do it, I think was brilliant. I also think is Maggie Stiefvater sending out a message to other young people who are in that same situation, going, you don't have to take that crap. You can get yourself out of it, and this is one way to do it.
yeah.
You know, which I think, if that's what she's done, is a really brave move, because
Mhm.
there are not many authors who are willing to, one, put their characters in that situation, but two, have the guts to talk about it or write about it. You know?
That's true. Especially with like where it's like young adult
Yeah.
and stuff. And like a book that doesn't usually, like, if you're going to include that in your book, that's the focus of the book.
Yeah.
Usually in this type of like fantasy-esque series, you don't really have those serious matters in
No.
them. So, and I thought she did it in a really good way. Like, it wasn't shoved down your face. Like,
No.
you weren't thinking about abuse every page of the book, but when it
No.
was present, it was appropriate.
It was. And I mean, it was, you know, abuse, and it was violent abuse, but it wasn't too, also, wasn't too graphic.
Yeah.
You make it really, really graphic, which I thought was good. It was enough that you were like, oh my gosh, you know, whoa, let's hope he stops this. You know.
Yeah, and I think it kind of like let everyone take their own take on what it could be like. Like, it didn't explicitly say like what he'd done to Adam in the past. You only get like that one time where he like hits his head against the thing and basically like loses his hearing. So like it's kind of nice because it's up to the reader to kind of fill it in. So depending on what age you are, like it would be, you know, not as graphic. So that's good.
Yeah, I think that's excellent.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you make of Ronan with the Raven, bringing up the Raven chick?
Well, I was like so confused because at the end when he was like, by the way, I took her out of my dreams, I couldn't remember, and I still haven't looked back to when he first even has her.
He finds her in the church.
But doesn't he just like walk away like by himself and then come back and be like, I found this bird? I'm sure, I mean, the next book is going to explain like how he does it. But it just seemed weird.
Yeah, weird. Totally strange. So,
but I liked that. See, this is why I think that I'm gonna end up liking Ronan, is because like how gentle he was with the bird, how much he cared about the bird, like how literally once he had the bird, his life revolved around it. And at the end when he says, I took the bird out of my dreams, like that means that he wanted something to take care of, and like he's lonely. So I think that it just showed that there's a lot more to him that we have no idea about.
There's a softer side to him.
Yeah, and the thing with his father, like I think that he seems like depressed about whatever happened to his dad, and I really am excited to find out what the heck happened.
What I do wonder though is, does his brother blame him for whatever happened to their father?
Well, I'm wondering if like the father's like trapped in his dreams or something.
I hadn't thought of that.
Because like when he's like, I took this out of my dreams, and like no one knows what happened to Ronan's dad, and it never said like if there was like a funeral or anything. So like, how do we know he didn't just like take off? But like Ronan knows. I mean, I think he's dead because Calla even said like your father's dead because of a secret. But what if like he dreamed his father dying and then like somehow made it happen by accident?
There's so many questions that hopefully will be answered.
I know. Well, everyone says the last book is like the best wrap up, so I'm sure everything.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what did you make of Gansey's parents and his sister?
I think that they just don't get it.
No. I think, for me, it was like, I wondered, do they live such a privileged life because they've got all this wealth that they don't know what normal is? Does that make sense?
And, well, no, I'll hold on to that. I'll write it down. I think that, I don't know, like, I think they're almost, like, tired. Like, when he was, like, talking to his dad, I felt like his dad was just like, oh, you're still doing this? Like, I feel like they kind of just, like, indulge in conversation with him, but they don't get it. And that, like, he's kind of, like, they're just people that are in his family, but I don't think he, like, considers them really, like, what he defines family as is what I think he defines his friends as.
Yeah.
I don't think he defines his family as, like, someone he can go to.
But I was just wondering, it could also be the fact that, obviously Gansey is bright. I mean, there's no denying that. And he has wide and varied tastes in interests, etc. Could it be that his parents actually, one, are not as intelligent as he is, and two, just don't understand him or his interests?
Yeah,
So they just,
that's part of it.
Going, yes, just get on with it, son, you know?
Yeah, because even, like, when his sister was flying the helicopter, like, you can tell she's not interested in it, but she saw the proof that there's something, but they're so not interested.
No.
So it's like, you know, they acknowledge what he's doing and they're like, oh yeah, are you still into that? But it's like, are you ever going to get out of that phase? Like, they think it's like a phase. They treat him like he's going through a phase.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, did you have any idea that Noah was going to be a ghost? Because, like, I replayed the line when he meets Declan's, like, date, and she's like, your hands are cold, and he's like, I've been dead for years. I, like, replayed that, like, 3 times, because I was like, wait, what did he just say? And then he was like, I've been dead for years, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that was kind of weird. Like, could he really be dead? And then when they found out he was dead, I was like, wow, he was being honest.
No, I hadn't a clue. Even when I read that, I just thought he was being funny. I thought he was making a joke.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of the one who is, shall we say, the least vocal, the least there, in inverted commas, out of the boys. And I just thought he was, you know, that he was just being funny. And when I found out that he was actually a ghost, I was like, wow, okay. You know.
Well, I kept like saying he can't be dead because everyone kept seeing him, and when you think ghost, it's like people don't see him, like you can't interact. So when it was like, you know, he was in the car, he was like petting Blue's hair, and like Gansey's sister asked like, how's your grubby friend? Like, I was like, oh, all these people have seen him and interacted with him. He couldn't possibly be a ghost.
But I'm wondering, is it because his body was on the ley line, therefore that's why they could see him?
Yeah.
And then obviously with Blue's abilities, she makes him stronger.
Yeah, that's why they put him back on the ley line.
Yeah.
So that he could be back. So now for the rest of the series, he should be fine.
Yeah.
And what
Blue just intensify his presence.
Whatever happened to Welk? He died.
He died, yeah. And they just left him there. They didn't bring his body back. And I don't
Is that on the ley line?
I don't think is he? Oh God, he was on the ley line, wasn't he?
Cabe's water, like I think he's gonna come back.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've seen the last of him.
Wait a minute, hold on. I'm sure they just left him.
Yeah, no, they definitely left him. But I don't know if that's technically on the ley line because it's like off the ley line, but it's Cabe's water. So I feel like something's gonna happen. Like I definitely think that Neve's coming back somehow.
Because Adam goes into the pentagram. Adam he becomes a sacrifice.
Which I didn't really understand. Because he's like, I sacrificed myself, but what was he sacrificing? I didn't get it. Because he didn't sacrifice
the old Adam. The old Adam. He's sacrificing the old Adam, the Adam that was abused by his father. So he's sacrificing that old Adam to become the new Adam. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. I was just like confused, like how that was actually an acceptable. Like, what does that mean? What did the ley line actually take from him? That's what I was confused about. Like, did it take like? It obviously didn't take like his memories of it and stuff. I just didn't understand how that was an adequate sacrifice.
Basically, what it seems to be that looking at this is they have just the ley line has taken some of his old energy, as in his anger against his father, etc. Because it looks like he's come back. She says, scanning this out loud. It looks like he's come back with maybe some form of power. But I'm not sure. That'll be interesting to find out.
Yeah.
But that's what I took when he said I am sacrifice. I think that's what he meant.
Yeah.
Oh, so many questions now, eh?
I know.
So do we think folks should read this book?
I think if it sounds like something you'd be interested in, you should read it. But if it doesn't sound like something you'd be interested in, I don't think you should read it because I think it is what it describes it as.
Yeah, I think so. I think you've got to have an interest in this type of genre to want to read it. What age range would you say that should start? You should be to sort of pick that up.
I mean, in this book, I don't think there are really like any, I think that, I don't know.
I would definitely think teenager.
Oh yeah, I'm just trying to determine if I think like young teens, like 13, 14, I think they could read I don't know what the other books have in it, but this book I think was appropriate.
Yeah, definitely.
And it wasn't like too scary. Like it had some scary themes, but not like too scary.
Yeah.
I think it was interesting. I think it was a very like visual book. Like you had a lot of imagery.
Yeah, I thought our descriptive writing was excellent.
Yeah, and this is the first book I've read by Maggie Stiefvater, and I liked it.
Yeah, as I say, I want to read the rest of the series, and I want to read more books by her because I think if they're anything like those, it'll be great.
Right. Yeah, I definitely want to continue on and finish with the series.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I think it was good, and I think if you're interested, you should definitely read it and give it a shot. And I think that it wraps up, like, if you hate it and you don't want to continue on with the series, you'll still get a good story out of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I think if anyone does read it, please, in the comments down below, let us know. Or if you have read it, again, let us know down below. And if you want to ask us some questions, then do so. We'd be more than happy to answer them. It'd be good.
Yeah. We definitely enjoy talking about what we read.
Exactly, yeah. It's good to do. It's good to have someone else to chat to, especially live to do it. Is so much better than by email. So
I know. All right, so are we going to sign off on this?
I think we sign off on this one, and we will let you know. We've kind of chosen a book for this month, but we just need to see if I can get it. But if we do, we'll let you know, and hopefully we'll talk to folks soon.
Yes, thank you for watching. If
Absolutely.
you watch.
I mean, we'll see you soon.
Bye,
Okay.
guys.
Bye, guys.